Hello everybody, welcome to the house. Before we talk house stuff actually, I'll give you a quick update on last week's video, because if you watched it, you'll know that Sarah and I were in the hospital for what we thought was just going to be a baby checkup, but actually was much more involved than we thought. So Sarah has a heart thing, although we're not entirely sure that's what it is. I'm digressing already. Sarah has a heart condition called SVT, which is, as far as I understand it, now Sarah, feel free to tell me I'm wrong here, because I don't want to like minimise your condition, but as far as I'm aware, it's fairly minimal, more just uncomfortable than anything else. Am I right?
Sorry,
it's not like dangerous.
Sorry, I'm distracted trying to do 2 dishes at once. I'll stop. Yes, it's not dangerous. I was first diagnosed with it when I was 19, 21, and I thought I was having an asthma attack. I had really severe asthma when I was a child, so I thought, ooh, haven't had this in a while. And then when it never stopped, I went to hospital and now I'm waffly. But basically, yeah, it wasn't dangerous for me. It's just really, really uncomfortable. Feels like it's racing, feels like you're kind of, yeah, like I said in the last video, like you're not really there.
Right.
Comes on and off. But my biggest worry now that I'd had it again was obviously the baby.
Well, but also you've had it much more. So since I've known Sarah, you get one of these episodes every sort of
once every 6 weeks.
Yeah, once every 6 weeks or so, and it's kind
chill,
of it's not chill. I mean, you go, oh, I'm having one, and it kind of means that Sarah's has to just sit kind of in a quiet room, and you can feel her heart here, and it's thudding like she did a workout.
Put my head in the freezer. Do you remember in the old house you'd come downstairs and I'd like just be sat with my head in the freezer because the cold would help me like calm down.
It means you can't do anything else while you're having an episode, but it's not like
it's not dangerous to my health.
Right.
But I was worried. I'd never had one pregnant, and I'd never had them as bad or as frequent, or the feeling of gonna faint as much with the baby. So I was worried, not for myself, but obviously for the baby. But she's fine. She's chilling. It's only me that's bothered. So
Sarah's getting these episodes now, sometimes more than once a day, but I would say on average once every 3 days or so. But they're pretty intense. So we went to hospital for Sarah to have like a rig thing fitted, like a monitor, ECG monitor fitted for 24 hours. And as it happens, we were kind of hoping that there would be an episode, because currently we've been into hospital a few times about it, and without any evidence of it, the hospital's sort of like, eh.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's the weirdest thing that you're kind of like hoping to feel ill, because as soon as they attach the monitor, you have 24 hours. If they catch it, then they can help you. If they can't catch it, it's really hard to know what to do. So it's the only time that you ever leave a hospital and you're like, please be ill, come on, please feel sick.
As it happens, Sarah had an episode for most of that evening.
Oh, that was like the biggest one I've had in ages, so...
Which is kind of a good thing. It's kind of a good thing. However, Sarah returned the ECG the next day, and we haven't heard anything yet. So that's a good thing, because if it were urgent, if it were desperate, they'd have us back in. And we've had the baby's heart rate measured a lot, and it's been fine every single time. So I think it might be one of those things where it's just really shitty for Sarah, but it's not dangerous for the baby. So we're going to go back in. Hopefully we'll get an appointment within the next sort of 2 weeks or so, and just have a chat with the doctors.
I guess they'll now just discuss my care, but it's kind of the same as what we said last time. Like, it just is what it is.
Yeah, so the updates, basically there isn't really much of an update, but we'll keep you posted. I was going to talk about house stuff, because previously...
We live in a pit still.
We still live in a pit, but...
I feel like we should caveat with, though, every time... I'm not even caveating, I'm just adding it in for fun. I feel like every time... I've been quite, like, sad sometimes because the house is taking longer than we thought. But every time, it's almost like this, like, fortuitous thing. Every time I feel really down, something, like, nice happens, whether that's like our neighbours have knocked on the door and introduced themselves, or like we've gone to the park, and that's when you're like,
we love where we live.
This is why I live here, it's so lovely.
Yeah, we love where we live. Our neighbours, even 2 doors down, have all said hello, and they're all really, really lovely. And when we say it's a pit, it's not a pit at all. It's just not home yet, because as you can see, we've still got boxes everywhere, and there's lots of work to be done.
It feels like, to me, like this feels like where I grew up, we talked about before I grew up in the Cotswolds, but in like a little village, and everyone in the village knew everyone, and everyone went to the same doctor's surgery, and everyone like was all friends, and everyone babysat each other's kids, and it was such a like nice community, and that's so hard to find in London, but it feels the same here.
It's lovely here. So I thought I'd give you a quick update on what we've done. Like I said, this is about as bad as it's going to look, fingers crossed, before it starts looking much, much better. Now we've spoken to...
Are you wanting me to join in, or can I get back to chopping my leek?
It's up to you, you can join in if you want to.
Also, I'm just going to shame you on your video.
Right.
I found 4 knives across here, just sticky knives left out. You are a terror.
Well, that's not... You found...
Terror.
I will say you found 2. Because I was watching you do it as I was filming. One was for my saurine. I'm going back for more saurine soon, so I wanted the same knife.
That knife for the saurine's been out for days.
And the other one was for your lemon and honey, because you've got a cold, and I was going to reuse the knife for the next lemon I slice.
Well, now
saving washing.
Well, now you've been publicly shamed.
Anyway,
so there you go.
We are talking to an architect about extending this kitchen out. Now, what he said actually is it should be really, really simple, because as you can see, if you look at the garden, both my neighbours on both sides, so here, that wall behind me here, that line, that's where they've extended. And on this side, that line there is where they've extended. So he said that essentially it should really be a case of just, you know, 3 of the 4 walls are done. You just put a door on it and a roof. So we won't be doing this for a while yet because it's a bit more expensive and
a utility room.
Hopefully utility room, yeah. We're also thinking, right, this big column here, that one there that I'm pointing at, we can't remove that without spending more money than we have. The architect came over, right, that's a big support beam thing. If you remove it, it's going to cost you like £100,000. And I was like, well, that's out of the question then, isn't it? What we might do actually is use this to our advantage and have it as like a part of a wall. So we're going to extend the kitchen out. Now the kitchen's already quite big here. What we don't have down here is a downstairs toilet. And when we bought this house, we looked at lots of others. The reason we bought this one, like I've mentioned before, is that actually because it needed a little bit of love, it was a bit cheaper than the others for a little more space. But it also doesn't have a downstairs toilet, which is a real bonus for, you know, people that are living in the house. But also when you come to resell the house, it's like a good box ticked. So because we have the kitchen here and we've got all the plumbing and everything sort of hooked up there and around here, and we've got this beam behind me that already exists, the architect was suggesting that we use that in some way and make sort of like a little toilet area down here.
He had children, and I thought I loved him because he came in and was like, here's what I would do if I was just going to make a load of money.
Right.
But here's what I would do as a dad because I have 3 kids. And he was like, I'll give you 2 plans. And he was kind of like, it was like that wink, wink, like, this is what you should do.
Do you know what? He said having a downstairs toilet.
That's the second video where I've had to do an awkward wink.
You can't wink. He said having kids, having a downstairs toilet is really helpful because when it comes to like potty training and stuff, rather than picking them up and like running upstairs and then it's too late, there's somewhere much more handy. So that's in the process, but it will take a long time because we'll get the plans drawn up and get planning permission and all that stuff, and we're not in a rush for it.
No, she's not going to need potty training for quite a while.
Oh yeah, we're not in a rush. That will be post-baby. I think most things we're doing will hopefully be pre-baby, so we can get the house sorted and have like a really comfy, cozy, functional house for our little one. But I think this is something we'll do further down the line. Anyway, I've done some gardening. When I say I've done some gardening, what I've done is I've cut the grass because it was up to my knees. But I've also, like, I built that shed. I'm really proud of myself. I built that shed, and I also am now a composter. So I've got this unit behind me. It's called a sub pod, and I was influenced. I saw an influencer talk about it. I was like, that looks like a great idea. So it kind of is, it goes down low, right? So this corrugated section I've got here is just full of soil and stuff, right? And then you've got the actual unit itself. So these are air holes here, which kind of, I guess, feeds oxygen into it. And you open it up and you've got your worm blankets here, which as long as you keep moist, keep the worms alive and functioning, and then you just feed them your compost. So in here, oh, there's loads of worms in there already. I've got like dry leaves and old food bits and bobs and stuff like that. Now, I've only had this for about 5 or 6 days. So obviously there's not much composting going on yet, but apparently, I didn't know this, like a head of lettuce, if you put it in the bin and it goes to landfill, it takes like 20 years to rot away just because there's no oxygen getting to anything, because it's all so densely packed that it just never really rots. But you can do it in a week in your compost bin. So
I saved my bits of the leek for you to compost.
yeah, excellent. There we go. So now, like old bits of vegetables and stuff, you just stick in there, feed the worms, and it turns to good soil that I can then use for my house plants behind me or for the garden when we do that. Now, brace yourself, because we have a big hole in our wall. I say hole, it's not actually a hole that you can see through, but you may remember that I mentioned we had some quite nasty damp, which came up on the survey before we bought the house, and we nearly didn't buy it because the surveyor said it's really bad. I spoke to my builder and he went, yeah, damp is a problem, but actually it's easily fixed. It just looks a mess while you're getting it fixed. But in these sort of 1920s, 1930s houses, it's really common, and it just sort of is a thing that you deal with. Now, he didn't know how bad it was. We had our sky installed a fortnight ago, and the guy drilled through the wall to put the wire through. And he was like, your wall is made of soup. It just sort of fell away as he put the drill through. So my builder came over. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, I was posting Instagram stories about it. Or if you don't follow me on Instagram, you can do at Jim Chapman, and I've actually highlighted a new house section of my story, so you can go and watch them if you want to. And he touched the wall and it all just fell off. So currently it's still wet, only this is not damp now, it's this stuff he's put on the damp to sort of seal it all up. So we're going to leave that on there for like a fortnight or something as it is. It stinks, and like you can feel the moisture just sort of coming off it, but it's gross. But that will be done a couple of weeks time, it'll be dry, and then we'll just get it re-rendered and replastered. You may remember, like, you can see outside now, it's really bright. In fact, if I get out of shot, you might even be able to see through the window where the skip is. Currently there's a skip out there. Now that skip has the remnants of the big bush that was out there before. Now I wanted to keep the bush, and I wanted just to kind of trim it down and have it like neat and tidy, but it was partly responsible for the damp because the roots were causing mischief down there, but also the way the bush was, trimming it back wouldn't have worked because it was just wood under there and the leaves were only on the newer part. But it's let so much more light into this room. Instantly it feels brighter and like nicer in here. So we've got lots of work to do to the front. We're going to have it all repaved and, you know, look much nicer, but just removing the hedge has like done a world of good. Now, the only thing we're waiting on, well, the next thing we're waiting on, not the only thing, the next thing we're waiting on is the floors to be done. Now the floor people are coming on next Monday, the 14th. So we have actually really beautiful original wooden floors, which I love. They just have been stained not a very nice colour at some point. So throughout most of the house, we're going to have this all sanded down and restained a different colour. Same with the stairs. We're basically going to do the 3 bedrooms up here as well as the floor down there and the floor I was just on. So we've got my office here. We're going to redo this because again, it's the same floor throughout, and it's really lovely. It's like really charming and gorgeous, just not a nice colour, and also is in bad nick in places, so they're coming to sort of repair it and fix it and stuff. And then we're getting a few rooms plastered. And then it's painting. So it looks, I think, as bad as it's going to look right now because everything is stripped bare. Like these walls are a mess, as you can see, but once the floor's done, and once the plastering's done, I'm painting, and we're nearly there. So that's an update for you, that's all I have to say. It's kind of like a bit of a nothing update because apart from the hole in the wall in my garden and the hedge being gone, you can't see much difference because I have just been spending, no joke, I've spent 5 weeks straight just stripping paint. So I've been stripping off the paint from these banisters, which now are good as new, but it just takes so much elbow grease. Anyway, that's all. Apologies if this has just been me rambling again. I feel like my last few videos, when it comes to house stuff, it's just me showing you the same stuff in a slightly different state of disrepair. But we're getting there, and hopefully my next video, you'll be able to see even if we haven't started painting yet, you'll be able to see some sort of progress. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye. Sarah, do the wink. Nailed it.